Hello guys, welcome to my channel after a long time. So now I have wrote new story and today I'm gonna read it out for you guys, and if you guys like it, kindly like the content and share and comment. Also subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Jealous sister. So once upon a time, there was a poor man who lived with his wife. He had two daughters, Laila and Tara. Both were twins, but Laila was born 3 minutes earlier than Tara. Even if they were twins and looked quite alike, but Laila had a birthmark on her face which made her look very ugly, but she always loved her sister very much. Even Tara cherished her very much. Both the parents of the girls always felt content to see the bond between their daughters, and in spite of suffering from poverty, they were content in life. Father then suddenly fell sick for a few days and couldn't go to work. And since their mom was handicapped and she can't work outside as well, first 2 days were fine since they had little ration left and ate that. But since their father wasn't getting better anytime soon and there was no ration left anymore, Laila and Tara, who were barely 13, assured that in difficult times like this, they will help their parents, and both decided to go to the market area to find some work. They moved from one shop to another looking for work, but everywhere they went, people would stare at Lila's face and say no to them. After going around a little, Tara said to Lila, maybe we should separate and look at different shops, and then we might find work sooner. Lila, thinking that it's a good idea, agreed. But the sisters separated their ways, and Tara soon saw a very rich man. She went to him and politely requested if he had anything that she could do, as her father was sick and she really needed some money. He smiled and told her that for some time they have been looking for a nanny for their infant, and she seems like a perfect fit for that. Lila saw Tara from afar, talking to the man, and ran to her in excitement if she had found any work. The man saw Lila and took a few steps back, and now looking away, he asked Tara if she knew her. Tara hesitantly said that she didn't and looked at Lila apologetically. Lila felt very bad and was going to utter some word, but then Tara interrupted her and said, go away, I don't know you. Lila took a few steps back and ran in the opposite direction. She was very hurt by this and also felt betrayed as her sister, who was also her best friend, refused to recognize her in front of so many people. She went back home, looking at her dull face. Her mother asked if something was wrong and where was Tara, but she said she was just tired and they lost each other in the market. Her mother got furious and almost screamed at her. How could she leave her sister alone like that? Lila was silent and just went to a corner of the room and sat quietly. Almost 2 hours later, Tara came back with a big smile on her face. She informed mother she got a job at a rich man's house as a nanny and he will pay her a good amount of money, but she has to shift there as the job requirement. Their mother was a little concerned, but also happy that they won't have to die starving now. Tara asked her mother about Lila, and mother turned around to see that Lila wasn't there. Tara went outside looking for her and found Lila sitting on the roof. She apologized for her behavior earlier and tried to make her understand that if she won't have behaved like that, she might have lost such a good opportunity to do such a good job, and also how in a dire need they all are for money and food now. Lila was still pissed at her, so Tara hugged her and told her that she did it for the family, for everybody, and for her. Lila got a little calmer and shook her head as if she understood her. They both went inside the home, holding hands. As days passed, Tara settled into her new life as a nanny at the rich man's mansion. sending money home regularly. Laila, however, couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. She loved Hera, but the memory of that day haunted her. Her sister denied knowing her in front of everyone. Choosing a job over their bond, the pain festered, slowly turning into something dark. One evening, while their father's health deteriorated, Laila was out by the river near their home, lost in thought. As the sun set, casting very dark shadows, she heard a faint whisper in the wind, calling her name. She turned around but saw nothing. The whisper grew louder, and she felt a chill running down her spine. Suddenly, from the darkness, a very dark and scary figure emerged, an old woman with wild grey hair and eyes that seemed to see right through her. I know you're all pain, child, the old woman rasped. Betrayal by blood is the deepest fault, but I can help you make it right. Laila was very terrified but entranced. Who are you? She asked, her voice trembling. Just a forgotten soul who knows the bitterness of betrayal. The woman replied, her voice a mere whisper. I can give you power, power to take back what was taken from you. The woman offered Laila a small ornate mirror, its surface dark and swirling like a stormy sea. This mirror, the woman explained, holds a terrible curse. If you use it against someone, their deepest fears will consume them. But beware, child. Once the curse is unleashed, it cannot be taken back. Laila hesitated, but the memory of Tara's betrayal burned her in her heart. With a shaky hand, she took the mirror, and the old woman disappeared into the night, leaving Laila alone by the river. The next day, Tara returned home for a visit, bringing gifts and food. She was full of smiles, but Laila could see the slight unease in her eyes, a flicker of guilt, perhaps. Laila said nothing, only watched her sister with a cold gaze. That night, while everyone slept, Laila crept into the room where Tara was staying. She stood over her sleeping sister, clutching the cursed mirror. Her heart pounded in her chest as she whispered Tara's name into the mirror. The surface of the mirror rippled, and Tara stared in her sleep, a look of fear crossing her face. Suddenly Tara's eyes shot open, but they were filled with terror. She screamed and scrambled back, pointing at Lila as if she were a monster. Stay away from me, Tara shrieked. You are not my sister, you are a demon, demon! Lila, shocked, tried to reach out to Tara, but her sister recoiled in horror, her mind unraveling as the curse took hold. Tara began to see visions, horrific images of Lila, twisted and deformed, coming to haunt her, to take her life. She screamed and cried, trying to escape, but the fear was too overwhelming. She ran out of the house into the night, and she just disappeared. Days turned into weeks, and Tara never returned. Their family was devastated, believing Tara had gone mad and fled. Nobody understood what suddenly just happened, but Leela was consumed with guilt and grief, realizing too late the true cost of her actions. She sought out the old woman to undo the curse, but she was nowhere to be found, and the mirror was shattered into pieces. Lila's heart was heavy with sorrow, but the horror wasn't over. One night, as she sat alone in the dark, she heard a very familiar voice, a whisper, just like before. Why did you do this? She turned to see Tara standing in the doorway, her eyes wide and hollow. her skin pale and cold. You betrayed me, Tara whispered, stepping closer. Now I will never leave. Lila screamed, but no one could hear her. Tara's ghost reached out, her cold hands wrapping around Lila's throat. Sisters forever, she whispered, a twisted smile on her lips. From that night on, Lila was never seen again. The house stood silent and empty, save for the occasional whispers in the wind, a chilling reminder of love turned to hatred and the terrible piece of betrayal.